GM. GM. So, trade of the day, I'm going to look at MANTA and ONDO, a couple that I mentioned earlier. Let me see where they are at here. Let me see. ONDO. You can see it over here. There we go. So, I mentioned these back on Wednesday. ONDO, when it was at around 25 cents, had a nice launch pattern. Right, so the chart had pushed up, and I'll just get ONDO up here. ONDO. So ONDO first mentioned it when it was over around here. It dipped back into a reaccumulation higher low, pushed up, breaking out of here. Seems like it's going to consolidate and then break to new highs if the market remains bullish. So that's one that I'm looking at and trading on low time frames. As I said, so here it is. It's new launch in the real world assets category. If you look at ONDO, you'll see here. It's got all the buzzwords you want to see, right? Next generation financial infrastructure, US dollar yield, US treasuries yield, with a lot of TVL, and money markets coming soon. But the main thing is they're backed by Coinbase, Pantera. So Coinbase, obviously, Coinbase, Pantera, one of the biggest crypto VCs. Also, they invest into the funds of BlackRock, right? Most importantly, BlackRock. And then their team is from Goldman Sachs, Bridgewater. So it's pure. Look, I'm not saying that this is like the best thing to hold for the bull market, although it probably does quite well. But it's got all the buzzwords and all the fucking narrative you would want for the tokenization narrative that Larry Fink talked about. So whether they're legit, I'm sure they're legit. Their people are real. They're not lying outright, right? They've got being backed by Coinbase. Coinbase is, look, you don't want to trust influencers, or not influencers. You don't want to trust anybody in the market. But in terms of like VCs, Coinbase as a backer of projects, Coinbase are pretty reputable, right? I think that's safe to say. Let's look at the ecosystem, ONDO ecosystem. So they've got a bunch of different partners and different integrations. BlackRock, just having that there is huge. Again, does it mean that BlackRock is behind ONDO? No, probably not. It probably just means that ONDO are using, right, when you invest into these treasuries or the money markets, they're probably taking the deposited capital and using it to buy BlackRock ETFs. But still, this is what they're talking about getting people to be able to tokenize real world assets and put them on chain. So it's got a good narrative. Let me see the team. Ali Azam, Ashwin, Bland, does not say where they're from. I mean, you could go through and look through all these guys, but I'm sure some of them have good backgrounds within TradFi. And oh yeah, this is the guy, isn't it? Nathan Allman, founder and CEO. I think this guy is like ex Goldman Sachs or something. Yeah, he's Goldman Sachs. Previously digital assets at Goldman Sachs. So look, I think when I look at stuff like this, I think if you've got that narrative and the chart is good, then don't fade it. Just go along for the ride. So ONDO, price action seems bullish. Narrative seems to fit what the market is looking to bid at the moment. So that's pretty good. Also talked about MANTA, which was back on Wednesday. MANTA's done really well since then. MANTA, that was back on where? Wednesday, over here. So MANTA on Wednesday broke out of this consolidation here. It then got above the Binance listing point. If you remember, I've done this with Bonk, I've done it with Pith, done it with a bunch of them. One of the best, this is one of the clearest pieces of edge that I can give anyone, is the peak of whatever listing pump you have acts so nicely as a pivot. Just look at this. Resistance. Flipped into support. And away it goes. Now, what I would expect is if there's a sell-off and we go back below that, wait for it to reclaim and get back above that 333, and that's your level, right? But you can see how, one, you had a resistance point. Two, you had a nice low time frame trade entry for longs when it flips over it and pushes higher. So I hold a bit of MANTA because I farmed it. I farmed the airdrop. So I've just got free tokens from locking up a bunch of ETH. And I wanted to actually get long. When I talked about it on Wednesday, it was around here, and I had some orders set. I think the orders were set at like 2. Where were they? The short answer is I got fucking front ran, which is why I'm trying to figure out exactly where I have my orders. I talked about it here when it was up around 299. I think I had my orders set down 260 or 250 or something. Got front ran, but that's fine. Like I was holding a bit of spot anyway. But since then, low time frame trading, I'm focusing on the simple things like that pivot. So this pivot level, I'm using that for my low time frame trade triggers to add maybe a scalp or a day trade long. And of course, if we dip back below it, I'll de-risk. I'll not de-risk. I'll not enter. Right? If we fall back below the 333 level, I'll be watching. If we come below it, we reclaim. That would be another trigger for a long for me, for MANTA. And so the other thing you need to look at is the risk in the market. The market's not looking to, at least certainly how I see it, the market isn't looking to take big risk on any of the existing projects. I know Solana's done quite well. It's back up to nearly 100. But mostly the stuff that already ran, the stuff that's already pumped since October is probably going to lag a bit. But these new things, the market loves new and shiny. And so as long as the market structure is bullish, higher highs, higher lows, then expect that to continue. And for MANTA, that means here, there's a low, right? I'll get rid of all this. There's a low, there's a high, there's a higher low, there's a higher high. So the higher low you're looking at is anywhere in here. It needs to stay above 285, absolutely, right? Below 285, that's a clear break in the trend. But if it dips back down even into $3 level and then continues and reclaims that pivot, that's just another higher low. That's a decent place to buy if you're looking to get long, to play just momentum. Where does MANTA go in the end up? I don't know. I'm sure it has a significant decline after this, which is why you want to keep an eye very closely on that 333 level. If the trend isn't going to continue and it loses that level and falls back below, then don't be surprised if it just bleeds out like a lot of these do and goes into a long sideways reaccumulation. Because the market as a whole is, it's sort of in between bearish and bullish. There's a lot of indecision, which is why low time frame longs are quite profitable at the moment. But it doesn't mean that you're entering big swing longs expecting another 8-week, 10-week, 12-week trend. So just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, as for any trades, I see ONDO and MANTA still as being the two main trades that are available on all centralized exchanges that seem to have some positive momentum to the upside. Okay, GM. See you later. Live stream 5 p.m. UTC.